Fine, good afternoon to you all students. Hi students, how are you? I hope you all are fine and you all are doing well. I hope by God's grace you all are safe. Pray to God for your health and your parents, your studies and everything students. So welcome to our today's online class students. So now we are studying about which chapter? Chapter 2. What's the title of your chapter students? Data abstraction. Okay. So before I'm going to take about today's class, just recall what are things you have taught at the last class. So what are the things we have studied in that means last week class. So what are things you have studied in the last week class? So define ADT. Abstract data type you have studied, isn't it? Very important 2 mark question I said. Then define abstraction. Very important 2 mark question I said. Then define constructor and selector. Important 3 mark question. Then define abstract data type with example constructor and selector. Important 5 mark question. Then define list. Then define pair. Then list how you need to access the elements. The list 2 ways you have studied, isn't it? So this much of questions you have studied in this chapter. So what are the questions I am telling no? So this are all expected questions for your annual exam. So what are the questions is mostly I will talk about your annual exams only. Okay. So please students, daily I used to take maximum 3 questions. So please students, after completion of this session, so each day portions you study thorough. So if you are studying like this, surely I am telling you can score center mark in this subject. Understood students? Don't waste time. Okay. So today also you are going to study one important question. So first one is tuple. Okay. So last class you have studied about list. Isn't it Anna? So what do you mean by list? List is a comma separated value. That means inside the list you can able to keep lot of elements or lot of data. But each and everything, maybe it's a data, variable or expressions are separated by what? Commas. Separated by what? Commas. And enclosed in which one? That is very important. Enclosed within square bracket. Okay. So list means list is always placed inside. List is always placed inside what? So maybe a variable, data or expressions always be placed inside what? Square bracket separated by commas. Studied, isn't it? So list you need to access the elements using 2 methods. What are the methods? So by first method is used to assigning name. Second one is selection operator method. So same way, so pair you have studied, isn't it? What do you mean by pair? Bundling of pair means name itself having pair means bundling of 2 values. Always 2. A pair of values. Bundling of 2 values again called as what? Pair. So listen, in the tuple also you have given the just introduction, they have given us a pair first. So what do you mean by pair? So pair is also a one kind of data type, just like a list and tuple. So pair is also a one kind of data type. So pair always holds how many pieces of data, students? 2 pieces of data. Okay, pair always used to hold, pair means always 2. So pair always used to hold how many pieces of data? 2 pieces of data. Okay, so here also pair also you can able to represent in a 2 methods. So you can also able to represent pair as how many methods? 2 methods. Okay, so first way using which one means list you can construct. Okay, first way you can able to represent using what? List. Okay, second way using what? Tuple. Understood? So pair, so what do you mean by pair? A bundling of 2 values. So you are going to combine 2 values. So always the pair will contain how many pieces of data? 2 pieces of data. So this pair can be expressed using 2 forms. What are the 2 forms? List and a tuple. Understood? So now this is a definition of a tuple. See, first one is there, no? That's the definition of tuple. Very important 2 mark question. What do you mean by tuple? So tuple and that is list is almost the definition becomes same. Only one difference. So please listen carefully. What's the difference? A tuple is also a comma separated sequence of values. List also you have studied. List is also a sequence of comma separated value surrounded with what? Or enclosed or surrounded with square bracket. But here tuple is so tuple is also a comma separated sequence of value surrounded with parenthesis. That is very, very important. There list means surrounded with which one? Square bracket. Then tuple means surrounded with one? Parenthesis. Understood the first point? What's the definition of a list? You can write. List means it's a comma separated value surrounded with what? Square bracket. Tuple is a comma separated value surrounded with what? Parenthesis. Okay. So this tuple and list is almost similar. Similar means same. What's the main difference between this list and tuple mean? So once you have defined the elements inside a tuple once. Okay. So you have defined lot of elements inside the tuple and the list. Okay. But inside the tuple you cannot, once you have defined means that is a stationary. You cannot able to change. So once you have defined the elements inside the tuple mean you cannot, next time you cannot able to change the element. But in a list the elements can be changed as per your wish. You can able to change the elements. That's the main difference. So this also they will ask for maybe sometimes they will ask book inside question. They will ask what's the or list the difference, or what's the difference between the tuple and the list. So what's the difference between the list and tuple? So once you have defined the elements inside the tuple means you cannot able to change the element. But if you have defined the elements inside the list means you can able to change the element. See the example. So inside the parenthesis you are representing three elements. What are they? Red, blue and green. So each and everything is separated by what? Commas. So red comma, blue comma, green. So enclosed within which one? Parenthesis, that is bracket. But if you need to represent in a list means you need to enclose which one? Square bracket. Understood? So here define list. Very, very important 2-mark question. Define tuple. Very, very important 2-mark question. Define pair. Very, very important 2-mark question. This and all expected questions. Understood? Okay. So listen, next one is representation of tuple as a pair. Okay. So the tuple value also you are going to represent as a one? Pair. So listen, first thing, first line you read it. Nums colon equal to 1 comma 2. So that's a tuple or a list. So nums equal to 1 comma 2 means that's a list or tuple. Just see it and say. That's a tuple. Why? Why we are saying that is a tuple? Because the values are enclosed within which one? Square bracket or parenthesis? Parenthesis. So we can say that is a what? Tuple. Same things if you are representing in a square bracket means you can say that is a list. But here you are the two values. Only two values are there. So what are the values? 1 comma 2. 1 and 2. The two values are enclosed using which one? Parenthesis. Okay. So now you are going to take the element or access the element from the tuple. So what's the method? Two methods you have studied in list. What are the two methods? By giving a name as well as second one is by giving selection operator. That means index value. Okay. So index always starts with which one? 0. So how many index values will be there here? 2. What are the 0 and 1? So how you need to access? Using that name of the tuple along with index value. So what's the name of the tuple here? Nums. N-U-M-S. So name of the tuple. Nums of what's the first index value? 0. So always the index value needs to be enclosed within which one? Square bracket. That is very, very important. Even you are going to access the elements in a tuple. So you should give the index value inside which one? Square bracket. So how you need to give nums of 0. So what value you will get? 1. Then nums of 1. So what's the first index place value? 2. Understood? Understood? Okay. Then, so next one is data abstraction in structure. Okay. So next you are going to study about structure. So the structure concept you have studied in 11th also. So listen, so if you are giving some names or variables or expression or data or anything you may be, so all the things you are storing in a memory cells or in a memory. Cells mean nothing what? That for example, A equal to 10, you are giving two variables, A equal to 10, B equal to 15. Okay, so A you are storing in a one memory cell. Then B you are storing in a next memory cell. That one we are calling as a what? Memory cell. Okay, so always you are giving in data abstraction concept, always you are giving some name to each memory cells. Understood? In data abstraction concept, always you are giving name to some memory cells. Okay, so here listen, so one game they have given in the textbook. Okay, this concept they have given one game. So consider any four colors in your mind. Okay, so any four colors in your mind. Okay, so if a player asks to somebody to say among that four colors in your mind, you are keeping four colors. Among that four colors, you are asking that particular guy to say any one color name. So the guy will say any one color. So listen, so instead maybe all the things are color, isn't it? Maybe a red, green, blue, all the things commonly we can say as a what? Color. So instead of we are giving four different names for that color, for example color 1, color 2, color 3, color 4. So instead of you are giving four different names, you are giving a common name. Okay, in this example, instead of giving four names, they are giving what? One common name. What's the common name means? Predict. So see the last line what they have given? Predict equal to, so inside the square bracket. So square bracket means which one? List or tuple? List. Isn't it? Square bracket they have given red comma, blue comma, green. Okay. So instead of you are going to represent four different, for example, you need to give A equal to red, B equal to blue, C equal to green, then D equal to green. So instead of you are giving four different variables, so all the things you are giving inside a single variable called what? Predict. Understood what do you mean by structure? What's the use of structure? Mainly what's the use of structure mean? Instead of you are giving separate names, so you are giving all the things in a one separate variable. That is called what? Structure. Understood? So in this example, they are giving four different colors. So instead of giving four different colors in a four different variables, you are giving in what? One separate variable called what? Predict. Understood? So listen, so that kind of examples you can say that color for different colors you can given as a common name. So in a textbook they are selling, but some kind of variables you cannot able to give as a common name. For example, listen, you are going to write a basic details for a particular person. Basic details for a particular person. Okay, so what are the basic details the person will come? For example, so if you are going to fill an application form or anything, means what are the basic details you will fill? First name, last name, email ID, phone number, address, gender, etc. etc. Isn't it? So all the things whether you can save inside a common name, because first color means all the four things are color only. Because the first place it will represent the first name of the person. Second place it will represent the last name of the person. Third place it will represent the phone number. So you cannot able to represent all the things as a common name. Just before you are studying, the colors you are given in a same common name. So if you are representing some kind of things, means you cannot able to represent as a common name. So to avoid that one, you are using a concept called what? Structure. And so to avoid giving us that confusion for that one, you are using which concept? Structure. Okay, so here you are going to give a example called person. So what are the details they have given inside the person? You are going to write a first name, last name, email ID, etc. So all the things you are giving a common name called person. That's a structure name. So what's the structure name? What's the structure name now? Person. So inside the person structure, so you are writing a function. So what's the function? Creation of. See that diagram? So you are writing a common structure name called person. So inside that person structure, you are writing another one important function. So what's the function name? Creation of. So inside the function, you are writing what? All the details of the person. That is first name, last name, ID, email, etc. Understood? So see this first line, person equal to, they have given what's the first name, first represents first name, Batmachri, second, then last name, Bhaskar, then represent, then email ID or phone number, ID. Understood? So all the things they have given in which a common name called person. Okay, so each and everything you need to give a separate name. For example, Batmachri you need to give first name. Then Bhaskar in the place you need to give a last name. Whether you can able to give us a common name. For example, you are giving a name. person inside you are giving name, comma, name, comma, name. So each and every place whether you can give the name? No. So only first name and last name is there. So in this kind of conditions you cannot able to give us a common name. So only you are using which concept? Class concept, structure concept. Okay. So already you have studied class in object oriented programming in C++ program, isn't it? So see this example. So class person. So always a class starts with the keyword one, class. So along with which one? Along with which one? Class name. So what's the class name here? Person. Okay. So inside the class you are giving a function. So what's the function name now? Creation now. So inside the functions what are things you are giving? What are the basic things? First name, last name, ID, email, etc. Understood? Now a common name only you are giving a class, common name person. Inside that you are giving one function. So inside the function you are giving all the details of the person. So now what are the details you are giving inside? So all the details automatically it will store. See, listen. So consider the last year C program. So inside the main of function, if you are using the class concept mean, so you have studied, you should create one object for the class, isn't it? Is it true or not? Last year you have studied, no? So if you are using the class concept means always you should use which one? Create object for the class. So what's the class name there? Person. So for the class person you are creating object called what? P1. Understood? So what's the first line? See, P1 equal to person of. What's the use of that one? You are going to create a object. Then first name equal to birth mystery. What's the meaning? You are going to set the field. That's the name of the first field. Then last name means you are going to setting the field for the last name. Then ID, you are going to setting the ID for that particular field. Emails, what you are giving? So you are going to setting the email for that one. Okay. So in this example, you can say which one is a class? Which one is a class? Person is a class. So what's the other name of class? They are giving structure. Okay, so what's the name of the class here? Person. So if you are using the class concept mean, you should create which one? Object for the class. So which one is the class here? Person is a class. So which is the object here now? So which is the object here? P1 is a object. So we can say the object is a instance of a class, isn't it? So last year you have studied an object is a instance of a class. Okay, so we can say inside the class you can able to give grouping of bundle data or grouping of related data. Okay, so for example the class person give the related data about all the that means related data about a person, isn't it? So you can able to give a bundled or grouped data inside the class. So if you are using the class concept, which one you need to create object. Using that object, you can able to access all the functions inside the class. So which is the subordinate for that class? Function. So inside the functions only you can able to write all the things. Okay. So class we can say as a bundle form of data, and functions we can say the function is working on the class. Understood? Class is a bundle data and function is working on the data. Okay, so up to this chapter get over. Listen students, this chapter. So today you have studied tuple, then difference between list and tuple, then this structure. This also only important 5 mark question. Just by your own words you can write. So this chapter get over students. So tomorrow or day after tomorrow I'll send that notes for the second chapter in our group. Thank you students. Take care. Study well.